Dr. Phil made an appearance on TheView and attempted to educate the hags of this show on the COVID lockdowns and the devastating impact that they had on children. And that information was about as well received by these women as any information is ever received, but it's at least worth including.
And then COVID hits 10 years later, and the same agencies that knew that are the agencies that shut down the schools for 2 years. Who does that? Who takes away the support system for these children? Who takes them away and shuts it down? And by the way, when they shut it down, they stopped the mandated reporters from being able to see children that were being abused and sexually molested, and in fact sent them home and abandoned them to their abusers with no way to watch, and referrals dropped 50 to 60%. So
there was also a pandemic going on, and they were trying to save
kids' lives. Remember, we know a lot of folks who died during this, so it wasn't, people weren't laying around eating bond, but, well, you know what? We're lucky. Maybe we're lucky they didn't, because we kept them out of the places that they could be sick, because no one wanted to believe we had an issue.
Are you saying no school children died of COVID?
I'm saying it was the safest group. They were the less vulnerable group, and they suffered and will suffer more from the mismanagement of COVID than they will from the exposure to COVID. And that's not an opinion, that's a fact.
Well, Phil?
It just goes to show how truly interested these women are in just the narrative and not the facts and information. And they are definitely not interested in protecting children. Dr. Phil did not say that no children died from this virus. He pointed out the fact that we know, and that we knew pretty early on that this group was not vulnerable to this virus. That yes, they would get sick, but for the most part, such a small percentage of them were actually dying from it, that it was far more safer for them to be in school with people that could protect them and report abuse to the proper authorities versus the actual harm of being isolated with their abusers in their homes. But Whoopi's message to them, to these kids that were in their home with their abusers on a daily basis with no one to talk to, is that they are just lucky to be alive and that they should be grateful that they did not have to face a virus, even though they had to sit at home with no one to talk to and no one to save them from the actual harm and devastation that they were dealing with on a daily basis. And then they have the audacity to ask a stupid question like, are you saying that no kids died from COVID? Essentially attempting to try to paint Dr. Phil as some kind of COVID denier and attempt to discredit this information that is actually important for people to hear. These women are evil, they are vile, and they are not interested in anything but perpetuating an evil and vile narrative.